Yes?
I'll take a look.
Let's see.
You will not enjoy this.
Let's see.
Someone should either pay him to leave or show him we don't want him here.
Now
State your business.
Whose house is that?
If you have to ask, you sure as heck don't belong here. Sod off.
Clara Farland sent me.
Huh. The description fits. Fine, go on in. Argyle is waiting for you.
As a free city, Everlight's leadership is not chosen by the right of blood, but elected by the town's nobility. The most recent mayor, Fulan Argal, has been in power for over 7 years now, and is known for his endeavors to drastically reduce crime.
Certainly.
Well, well, if it isn't the notorious betrayer's child. I always wondered what you looked like. I had something different in mind. I'm Fulan Argal, Mayor of Everlight. Pleased to make your acquaintance. But let us cut to the chase, shall we? Clara has told me you're looking for an ally. One that can help you put an end to the bloodburn.
What else did she tell you?
Not much I didn't already know. Who you are, and your involvement in the Mage Wars. And before you say any more, I don't want to know.
You don't?
No. The less I know, the less dangerous our cooperation is for me. Also, I fully trust Clara's judgment. If she thinks you're worthy of our support, then so do I.
For a simple village mayor, Clara has a lot of friends in high places.
Simple village mayor. Is that who she is now? Amusing.
Well, who is she?
Someone who was once very powerful but decided to quit. That's all I can tell you without her consent.
So, can you help us?
I believe I can. Let me introduce you to the Wayfarers. Come on in. Tahar, this is Rowan, leader of the Wayfarers, one of the most able mercenary groups on EO.
Rohan?
Tahar. Tiara's breath.
I Take it you were acquainted already?
This man used to be my father's right hand during the Mage Wars. He was the one who told him of my plans to leave the rebels.
Interesting.
Don't act so surprised, Argyle. You knew of my past. And you also know that I'm the only reason this war is over.
If I hadn't told the Crown of Asamo's attack on the keep, he would have won. So yes, Tahar, you're right. I told Asamo about your betrayal. But ever since then, I've tried to repent. Look, you're angry, and after what I did, you have all the right to be. But this is not the time for discussion. You need an ally, and we're all you're going to get. So, please, let us just put this behind us, even if it's just for now. Let the Wayfarers help you.
So you warned the Royal Army of the attack?
Yes. It took me some time to realize how rotten our movement had become. But when I did, I acted. Just like you.
But please, I can tell you all about this, but not now, not here.
I don't want your help.
Please, just listen, will you? We don't have to be friends again. I know that you're trying to stop the Bloodburn, and we can help you. So at least hear me out.
Fine. Speak. Who in the blazes are the Wayfarers?
Mercenaries, as Argyle said. I founded them right after the war.
Mercenaries?
Yes. But that's just how we pay for our shelter and our food. Most of the time, the Wayfarers are helping people. Refugees, farmers, homeless. We're protecting those who the Crown has forgotten.
Very poetic. And how do I know you're telling the truth?
He is.
Thanks. Look, Tahar, I know I messed up. I served a monster for over 6 years of my life. But I regret it. And I'm trying to make amends.
So, this army of yours, what can you offer?
Knowledge, tactics, swords. Whatever it is you and the Harbinger need to end the Bloodburn, we'll help you.
I can't afford an army of mercenaries. I'd have to ask the Purity for support first.
You don't. I will cover all the expenses.
You? Why?
As I said, I owe Clara. Also, it's not as if my wealth and my power protect me from the Bloodburn, do they? Clara has a lot of faith in you, and even though I'm skeptical about the Purity's involvement in your mission, I trust Clara's judgment.
Fine, but we'll have a lot to talk about, Rohan.
Yes, I know.
Well, that's settled then. But as much as I appreciate your presence, I would like you, Rowan, to hear, and your soldiers, to leave this city as soon as possible. An army this size of the Wayfarers will draw the Royal Army's attention sooner or later. And that's something neither of us want to happen.
Right. I'll see you around then.
If it isn't the pariah, I didn't expect you back so soon. What do you need?
I'm here because I came across a victim of the bloodburn. One of the farmers in the outskirts seems to exhibit symptoms of late-stage bloodburn. I think it's best if your men look into that.
Bloodburn. I see. Thank you for reporting this to me. Learning more about this blasted disease is a difficult task. If more people were so quick to report the cases, we'd surely know more about it by now. Here's a small token of gratitude for your diligence. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If it isn't the pariah, I didn't expect you back so soon. What do you need?
So, this'll be our base, won't it?
I guess so. Yes.
Nihalf's hammer. How about a tad more enthusiasm? We're in the ancient city of the Shapers. If anything, we should feel honored.
Well, let's just hope the city's defenses work better for us than they did for them.
What is it?
What a beautiful place you found yourself here. Hard to believe that it was right in Iskander territory all this time. As promised, I'll set up shop around here somewhere. My contacts should still be able to get some good wares from Greyfell and Everlight. And, of course, I'll give you a big discount.
Thanks.
Looking for potions and scrolls? I'm sure I have just what you need. A fair offer.
Let's see.
Ellen's Reigns. What a journey. But I must admit, this city is a marvel. Such beauty. It almost makes me forget the reason I'm here.
Are you still, heartbroken?
I shall forever be heartbroken. But none of that matters anymore. If the fire in her heart does not burn as brightly for me as mine does for her, then so be it. Tell me, do you mind if I stick around for a while longer? Iskander isn't safe these days, especially not for a vagabond elf, and there's no way on Io I'm going back into that accursed city. Even if the darkest alleys of Everlight carry her flowery scent, even the most mischievous of voices whisper her lovely words, even...
Maybe you could even help us out with your skills.
Of course. Though there aren't many elves around yet that I could help, don't you think?
That will change. Just set up your forge around here somewhere.
I will. Goodbye, Tahar, and thank you again for being there when my heart needed mending.
Sounds like a plan.
Finally out of this blasted city. What a mess.
How are you settling in?
Well, I'm still trying to get used to the idea that I'll be working in an old shape of ruin from now on. Either way, I promised you my help, and here I am. Give me some material and some coin, and I promise you that I'll fabricate the finest weapons and armors you have ever seen.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Axes, daggers, swords, everything for the wary traveler. Pleasure doing business with you. Come again. I'm getting new wares by the next moon's turn.
Huh. Interesting.
Let me know what you need.
Tiara's breath. You haven't promised too much, Tahar. This place is incredible.
Iskrim will be happy to tell you all about it. Just don't forget, we're here for a purpose.
I won't. I'll go talk to Flynn now. We need to find a good place to set up camp. And, if you want to talk, you know, about the past, then feel free to come by.
In any case, with our new allies, we should be able to go look for the stones.
A fine plan.
Now look at that. The fabled Corporal. Good to finally meet you in person. I'm Flynn, second in command of the Wayfarers. I have to say, for someone who only led a puny Nortander division once, you're doing quite a good job leading an army so far. Not of them saying I couldn't do better, but still. Anyway, if you come to arm our men, I strongly suggest you do so.
But you're armed already, aren't you?
Well, yes, with rusty swords and dented armors. I mean with proper equipment. If you give me the coin, I'll send out orders to my contacts in Everlight. It'll improve our strike force significantly.
Can you tell me more about you? Rowan seems to think highly of you.
As he should. What do you want to know?
What did you do before the Wayfarers were formed?
Depends on how far before we're talking. I did some jobs here and there and then joined the military.
Some jobs? So you were a baker? A bard?
Very funny. I was a mercenary.
And then you joined the Royal Army?
Yes. I was even part of the Wolf Guard for a year or so.
Really? How come we never met?
Because that was way before your time. I know I don't look it, but I'm quite some years ahead of you, Tahar. I served under General Noria, under Sentenza, before that disaster at the Iskander Fortress.
How come you left?
Well, there were a couple of reasons. In a nutshell, I didn't agree with some of the things Sentenza made us do. So I deserted, just like you. Anyway, after I left, I went back into the mercenary business for a while. Then the Mage War broke out, things went to shit, and I went into hiding. Finally, a year ago, I met Rowan, and he told me about his idea. I immediately agreed. Doing good while not being bound to uniforms, orders, and morning drills was something I'd always wanted to do. I simply didn't expect anyone else to share that vision.
So, what's your job in the Wayfarers?
Well, let's just say that I know a great deal of people, and I can also handle myself in a fight.
I want to buy some better equipment for the Wayfarers.
Music to my ears. What did you have in mind?
made yourself comfortable?
Comfortable? Believe me, being comfortable is the last thing on my mind right now. Just look at this place. A Shaper city. Don't you feel it too? This sense of divinity?
I do. It's beautiful.
Indeed it is. Tahar, I'm not sure if you understand how much this means to me. The forgotten city of Mullendeer, the heritage of the Shapers. Since my childhood days, I've dreamed of this. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, thank you. You and the Harbinger have made this dream come true.
Well, all we did was save you from the orcs. You were the one who found the entrance.
You make it sound as if saving me from those greenskins was an easy feat. It wasn't. Anything else I can help you with? If not, I'd like to take another look at that rune Lacane gave us. It's at least as amazing as this place. Tahar, may I help you with something?
What are your thoughts on the Harbinger, Rondar Lacane?
Well, he's my employer. Without him, I wouldn't be on this mission. Or, what do you mean?
I was trying to say, how do you feel about what he stands for? The purity of light, Aeonir's return.
Oh, that. I'm not certain I have an opinion on these matters.
Don't you care who you're working for?
Truth be told, not that much. Making a living as an archaeologist is hard enough as it is. I can't afford to be picky. And in all honesty, aren't Lacane and his fellows just more of the same? There have always been cults who weren't happy with the Guardians and believed they had found the true and only God. There was even that one who believed in a sort of schizophrenic God, who was both the trinity of three different beings and the singular omnipotent God at the same time. However that's supposed to work. Sounds funny when you think about it, but those lads were dead serious.
Does the Harbinger know you feel that way?
No, I guess not, but he doesn't need to know about that, does he?
So, you don't believe in Aeonir's return? In the new world?
No, I don't.
But there's truth to what the Purity claims. The Guardians have been unusually silent.
Yeah, because maybe they finally realized how silly and ungrateful most of their creations are and decided not to bother anymore. What I'm trying to say is, there could be all kinds of reasons why they've withdrawn. And I doubt a bonkers robe-wearing lad such as Lacane knows the answer.
So you think the Purity is harmless?
Of course they are. And like any other fanatic, he and his fellows will go down once people realize his God doesn't have all the answers.
Maybe you're right.
I certainly hope so.
There's something I've been wondering about. How did your cooperation with the Harbinger begin?
Well, that was simple. I was in Everlight at the time, on request of the nobleman. He'd hired me to do some work on an artifact collection of his. One night, a courier contacted me and gave me a letter. The message outlined the mission and the pay, even though the latter was almost irrelevant to me once I realized what it was that Lacane wanted me to find.
Mullendeer.
Yeah. You know the rest of the story.
Found out anything new about the rune?
Well, nothing major, but still.
Yes?
I think that with the way we're using the rune right now, we're basically only scratching the surface. There's so much more it can do. Just think of the Ghost Watchers. What drives me mad, though, is that I just can't seem to figure out the details. It's like holding Nihal's hammer in your hands and not knowing how to use it.
I see. I've been meaning to ask you, how does a dwarf end up so far from the Windwall Mountains?
Let's not talk about this now, shall we? Maybe later.
All right, sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No sweat, Tahar. It's fine.
How does one make a living as an archaeologist?
Good question. One I usually prefer not to think or talk about. To be honest, it's a tough life. For some obscure reason, only very few scholars take interest in the Shaper or the Hibernian culture, even though there is so much to be found. It's a shame.
Like what? What is there to be found?
What? You mean apart from monumental steel constructs? Ghost warriors and a city full of ancient secrets to be discovered? A lot. But that's another topic.
How do you explain that lack of interest?
Well, what do you think? Ignorance. No matter if it's orcs, elves, dwarves, or humans. We're all terribly bad at learning from the past. Blasted, there's so much to be found, so much to be explored. Not just riches, but the technology, wisdom, and ancient secrets. But no, for some reason, the people with the coin just don't care. The only ones who even try to access this treasure are incompetent amateur treasure hunters, who usually get their heads chopped off by the first defense mechanism they walk into.
True. It's a pity.
Well, I suppose that answers your question. The life of an archaeologist is hard, and there have been times where I questioned if all the sacrifices I've made were worth it. Yet, here I am now.
That armor you're wearing looks quite special. Is it from Windwall?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, it's from Windwall. I forged it myself. Why do you ask?
Well, our smiths might be able to forge you a better one. It looks quite worn.
What? No. No, that's not gonna happen.
Why not?
It means something to me. But if it's my protection you're worried about, I can do some work on it myself. You'd have to cover the expenses, though. I'm a bit short on material these days.
Fair enough. I'll let you know if I have some resources to spare. What exactly is it that fascinates you about the Shapers?
Oh, Tahar, that's quite a topic. I don't mind sharing, but are you sure you want to go there?
I am. Tell me.
All right. Well, where do I start? You see, the Shapers have always fascinated me. They're all over Io. These remnants of a once so glorious civilization. Yet for some reason, so many people are almost oblivious to it. On the one hand, of course, that's very sad. On the other hand, it also makes it a lot more exciting. It's like I'm a treasure hunter, only that everyone else fails to see the treasures around us. Tell me, Tahar, when seeing all of this, don't you sometimes feel like you're exploring a childhood dream? The kind of world the poets and the bards always spoke of?
Sometimes, yes. It's dark, but also fascinating.
Absolutely. But this childish fascination was only the spark. The more I studied the Shapers, the more enthralled I became with their culture. Did you know that at the pinnacle of their existence, they ruled over all of Io? A global empire with no one to oppose them.
You seem to consider that a good thing.
Oh, good, bad, the world doesn't work like that. Of course, there are writings that hint at the fact that the Shaper Empire wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, but still it was stable. And it persisted for tens of thousands of years. Can you imagine? All this knowledge, all this art, all this wisdom. Nothing in the Io of today can match that. Nothing. It's like comparing a sea full of secrets with a puddle of muddy water.
My father always told me the Shaper Empire relied a lot on slaves.
What? No, that's rubbish. The Shapers had castes, yes, and it's probably the lower castes your father was referring to. But to call these slaves is like calling, say, a tanner who was born outside a royal family a slave, just because he'll never be a king. And even the very lowest caste, the Zalanyur, always had enough to eat, a roof over their heads, and could, without paying a single coin, get themselves healed by a cleric if they needed to. So if you think that's unjust, go ahead. Ask an Everlight beggar which era he'd rather live in. He's not a slave, yes, but in some ways he's worse off.
And how exactly did their empire come to be? They must have conquered quite a few nations.
They had the liberty of being the first living civilization on our Io, at least as far as we know. That made it easier to maintain peace and stability. Until the end and the dragons.
How do you know all this?
Some of it from writings, some of it's just connecting the dots. I know how many scholars are out there at the universities giving their talks about the inscrutable empire, but it's not nearly as inscrutable as they say. Their problem is they're trying to understand the Shapers by reading books and dusty tablets. That's not how it works. You need to get out there, into the field. And even if it takes years of fruitless digging, eventually you're bound to stumble onto something. Another piece of the mosaic.
Very poetic.
Because it is.
And yet, they died out.
Yeah. Great mystery.
Most scholars think it was the dragons.
They do, but I doubt it. You saw what the Shapers were capable of. Even a race as powerful as the dragons couldn't have wiped them out. And you see the shape the city is in, Tahar. There's no traces of fire and destruction. But regardless of what it was, it doesn't change the fact that the way the current races of this world treat the Shapers is nothing short of pathetic. They were greater than we'll ever be. But instead of studying this greatness, we ignore them. And why? Just because it doesn't fit into our religion, our traditions, or whatever reason they can come up with. Because to many, admitting what a marvel the Shapers truly were would mean admitting that our culture is pale in comparison.
Is our world really that bad?
That depends on your expectations. We could do worse, certainly, but if this is as good as we can get, then I have nothing to feel but pity.
Maybe you're right. There's a lot we could learn from the Shapers.
There is. In any case, I suppose you found your answer, haven't you? This is what fascinates me about the Shapers. They're a reminder of what we could be, if only we wanted to.
I see. Well, thanks for the explanation, Iskrim. I appreciate it. Interesting. Let's see.
Yeah, do you need something? I'm a tad busy.
I found some materials. Could you use these to upgrade your armor?
Yeah, wait. What's that? Nihalf's hammer. This is amazing. No, more than that. This is phenomenal.
I don't follow. What's so special about this thing?
This thing, as you call it, is part of an artifact. One that the scholars have been writing about for centuries. It might be possible to reconstruct them, and that... I can't even begin to imagine what that would entail.
Goodbye.
So, this is it, isn't it? Our base of operations?
So it seems.
An ancient Shaper city on a quest to find a cure for the bloodburn. And we're working for the purity of light. Sounds crazy if you say it like that. Just some weeks ago, I thought I'd be in Greyfell now. Trying to make a fresh start as an innkeep.
Innkeep? You?
Hey, don't laugh. What's wrong with some honest work after years of defiling on the road? Getting up early in the morning, setting the tables, serving mulled wine and stew to tired, weary souls. Just a simple, honest life.
Innkeeping is fun, until you find yourself on your knees at dawn, clearing up the puddles of vomit and beer these tired, weary souls left behind when they were done carousing.
Quite the cynic, aren't you?
So, you'd leave it all behind? The adventuring?
You know. People always act as if these decisions are final. The only way to find out how much I'd like that kind of life is by taking a chance, isn't it? And if one day I wake up and find myself in need of a change, I can still pack up my things and hit the road again. Upsides of Elven blood. There's plenty of time.
For what it's worth, I enjoy your company.
Sure you do. Who else would patch you up after the next monumental battle? Anyway, talk later, shall we? I'm sure you've got battles to prepare.
Ah, Tahar.
So, regarding the Wayfarers, you said that you founded them to make amends. Is that true? And if yes, how did you found them?
Yes, otherwise I wouldn't have said it. As to how I formed them, it's a long story. And maybe one we should save for later.
I remember that back in the Rebellion, ancient relics such as the Godstones were your speciality. Is there anything interesting you could tell me about them?
Interesting? That depends on what you mean by that. I mean, it goes without saying that what this rune allows us to do is beyond fascinating. Apart from that, I could only tell you the things you already know. How both the Hibernians and Shapers worshipped them and harnessed their magic. But that's about it.
I want to talk about my father.
I figured you'd want to eventually. What is it you want to know?
Do you think it's true? But he was simply crazy.
Towards the end, yes. He had certainly lost his sanity. But before that, I still don't know. I've said it before, but there's one part of me that likes to think he was a madman to begin with. And then there's the other voice that tells me that he was merely a visionary who had lost his way. But if there's one thing I know, it's that he was a leader. Whenever he spoke to us, it was electric. To this day, I've never seen someone with his charisma.
You sound almost nostalgic.
Nostalgic? No. It's just... I've never met someone with that energy. You have some of it, Tahar. I only started to realize that here. But most of it is still asleep.
My father never told me how he grew up. Do you know anything about that?
About his childhood? I'm afraid not. He shared some fragments of his past with me, but probably no more than he shared with you.
This might sound strange, but do you see any resemblance between him and me?
Interesting that you ask. Yes, there were moments where I could not help but notice that certain something that strongly reminds me of your father.
Could you be a bit more specific?
Well, I think that the best way to describe it is a sort of look in your eyes. It's somehow distant, but at the same time driven and intense. And it can be both intimidating and charismatic. I believe that it's this energy that helped your father rally the noble houses and all these mages behind him. And ironic as it may be, it might help you with our cause too.
Let's discuss something else. Seems your men have made themselves comfortable.
Yeah, they have. But blazes, Tahar. I know I've said it before, but this place is incredible. It's also a very good base of operations. Should we make enemies, and I hope it doesn't come to that, we're well prepared. But I'm guessing that's not what you came here for. You want to talk, right? About what I did 8 years ago?
Actually, I just want to know if what you said in Everlight is true. Do you regret fighting in the Mage Rebellion?
The big question. I guess the answer is mostly yes and partially no. I do not regret standing up for what your father claimed to be fighting for. But what I do regret is not seeing what he really was earlier. Look, Tahar. Seeing Zane and Helena die. Thinking that the same would happen to you. It killed me. But back then, I was just too blind. I still believed your father was doing good, and that you three were misguided.
Why did you do it? Why did you tell my father about my plan?
Well, what do you want me to say? I did it because back then, I still believed in your father's vision. What you, Zane, and Helena were going to do, it just seemed, I don't know, wrong. But that doesn't mean it was an easy decision. Also, I didn't think he'd execute you. Probably naive, I know, but it's the truth. You see, I joined Asamo because there was truth in his words. The masks, the pikes, all that hatred against us defilers that the purity of light is spreading now. It was all already there. The people always feared us, simply because we were different. Because we are better than they. Your father, he knew something like that would happen eventually. So he stood up and tried to stop it before it was too late. At least that's what he said. And to be honest, I still don't know if he only lost that vision, or had never had it to begin with.
Did you just say because we were better?
Yes, better. How else should I say it? We cast fire from our hands, heal wounds with a mere thought, so how would you call it? I call it superior, and the ungifted know it as well as we do. But does that mean that we want to kill them? No. We're not animals, we're people, just like they are. Only that we are the lions and they are the cats. We didn't choose to be that way, but it's what nature chose for us.
I can't believe you're saying this. The reason the people hate us mages now is because of what my father did. He confirmed their fears for them by starting this goddamn war.
Oh, really? And what about all that shit that happened beforehand? The witch burnings, mages driven out of the cities, gifted children abandoned by their mothers.
I don't know. But to me, it sounds like you're still trying to justify what you did in that war.
That's where you're wrong. It's not all black and white, Tahar. And you of all people should know that. I know I made mistakes. And I've spent the past 7 years making amends. What else do you think the Wayfarers are for? Why else would I have left? And look, I do not expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I could do it if I were in your position.
I must say, I am impressed.
With Mullendeer? Yes. It's quite a sight. I still can't believe we're the first ones who found this place.
It seems unlikely, yes, but yet it happened. Iskrim, the dwarf, told me about it. He said that the rock illusion shielding the entrance vanished as soon as you spoke the words, and that it did not react to Iskrim himself.
Tell me, Tahar, what do you make of that?
Maybe I'm connected to this place.
But how? I know there is more to you than meets the eye. Something about you is different, although I cannot say what it is.
I believe we stand on the verge of a change. Things have happened, Tahar. Things. the extent of which we have not even come close to comprehending. And they have set something in motion.
How do you know this? Are you some kind of medium?
A medium? No, quite the opposite. I'm an observer. As you have undoubtedly noticed, I lack the, let us call it, emotional intensity most people display in their daily lives. That can be a challenge, but it also allows me a unique perspective on the world.
And to me, it is evident that the war your father started has done more than simply given birth to the purity of light. It was the first pebble in what will soon become an avalanche.
You're talking about the Bloodburn?
Among other things, yes. But as I said, there is more to it. All this, your journey, your role in what Rondar Lacane believes to be a vision sent by Aenir. It is only the beginning. But let us continue this discussion when I can give you more than vague, semi-prophetic statements.
All right. We'll talk later.
Why? When?
When something comes up. I'll go prepare for our next mission now.
Understood.
Corporal? Need anything?
This might sound odd, but why did you join me? It was me the Harbinger wanted.
Why are you asking? If you want me to leave, you can just say it. No hard feelings.
No, I just want to understand. You've been putting yourself in a lot of danger for our cause.
I guess so. Well, I hate to disappoint, but I don't think there's a particular reason. As you pointed out in the prison, I'm a fugitive as much as you are, and my best chance of survival was sticking with you.
Could you tell me a bit more about your homeland? Finn and Mir?
Well, it's not my homeland anymore, but yeah, shoot.
Elves have a very long lifespan. What's it like to live for so long?
Hard to say, since I don't know what a human body feels like. As an elf, you simply take it for granted. When I first realized how short a human life is during my travels, I was baffled. I've been on this world for 39 years now, and in the elven world, I'm hardly considered an adult. Here, I'd have delivered my 7th child by now. It's strange. That's the best way to describe it. But you know what I eventually came to realize?
Tell me.
That age doesn't necessarily make you wiser. I've talked to 30-year-old humans who understood more of the world than the ancient seers of Finn and Mir. It's all about experiences.
How is human culture different from elven culture?
I assume you mean Nortander from Finn and Mir? There isn't one elven culture, as little as there's just the humans. Generally spoken, though, I wouldn't say they're too different. Especially not compared to the orcs. Life is a lot slower, mainly due to our lifespan, and elves are even more defined by tradition than humans. They revere nature and value tradition and rules above all else, and they are extremely aware of what they say, how they say it, and to whom. Which also makes it very easy to offend an elf. I'm an exception in that regard, but that was something my vagrant years taught me. But then again, not all elves are like that. There are some who care as little about Ellen the White Tree and the traditions as a troll cares about his morning toilet.
What role does magic play among elves?
It's everywhere. Magic is considered a gift of Ellen, and it defines your standing in every possible way. We may have talked about that already, but the whole council who runs the country is made up of mages, which is why the Purity will have a hard time finding followers in Finn and Mir, should they ever be naive enough to try.
I doubt that will ever happen. Interesting. There was something else I wanted to ask.
Sure. What?
Tell me a bit about your time on the road. What was it like?
Is that a command, Corporal?
Please?
All right, but I'm afraid there isn't so much to tell. Have you ever been on the road by yourself?
A long time ago, yes.
Well, then you know how wearisome it can get. Sleeping under the stars sounds romantic at first, until you realize that most of the time it's sleeping in the mud in drizzle. Most of the time, your stomach and your purse are empty, and your feet are full of blisters. And of course, there's the constant danger, especially if you're traveling on your own.
Did you ever have a companion?
Some, yeah, but most of it was just temporary. Though there was one I traveled with for longer. Quentin.
How did you meet?
Coincidence. A small town between Finn and Mir and Lar. We played dice together and he cheated. When I called him out on it, he tried to turn tail. But one of the other guests stopped him for me. They wanted to go give him a beating, but I told them to stop. He gave me back my money and we started talking. And believe it or not, we found that we got along quite well.
So you started traveling together? With a thief?
I wouldn't call him that. He was just young and careless. We ended up traveling for almost a year.
I see. What was your relationship?
You mean... no, we were just friends. He was way too young for my liking, and I think I was too old for him. We were more like sister and brother.
What was his story? Where was he headed?
Into the blue, same as me. He had quite an interesting task, but I wouldn't feel comfortable sharing it with you, to be honest. He wouldn't want that.
Huh. So, how did you split up? What happened?
Nothing dramatic. We came by a village and decided to rest there for a while. The roads had become quite dangerous due to the mage wars, and we didn't want to go out unprepared. I did some healing for the villagers, and he helped out the local smith. He liked it, and the smith wanted him as an apprentice, so he stayed. I was surprised and a bit hurt at first, but then I realized it was probably for the better. I still think of him sometimes, though.
Huh. And how did you make a living?
That was the easiest part. I healed people.
With light magic?
Yes and no. It was my magic that mended the wounds, but since mages are often met with suspicion, how shall I say, got a little creative. Frankly put, whenever I treated someone, I gave him a magical potion to drink, which was just water mixed with some harmless herb to give it color. The rest was laying on hands to help the potion's effect, which was pure light magic and how I did the actual healing.
And that worked?
Better than you'd think. People were fighting over my panacea as if I was Ellen incarnate, while cursing the evil defilers who had caused this war. Ironic, isn't it?
Do you miss it sometimes? The vagabond life?
Well, we're still vagabonds somehow, aren't we? But I know what you mean. And yeah, I sometimes do. The wind on my skin, the vastness of the wildlands, and the fact that all you have to think about is the mile ahead of you. It's another world. There was this one night I'll never forget. I'd made a camp at a clearing, set up campfire, and I was leaning against a tree, slowly drifting toward sleep. Then, all of a sudden, it started to rain. Not just the usual drizzle, it was bucketing down, drowning everything, the earth, the noise, the plants around me. My first impulse was to jump up, to find shelter, get my things into the dry. But I didn't. Instead, I saw. I don't know how else to put it. All of a sudden, there was this deep sense of peace, as if all my life I had been chasing something without knowing it myself. And in that moment, had found it. So I just watched. I sat there, and I watched. That feeling lasted until the sun came up. And then I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was gone.
That sounds beautiful.
And a bit dramatic. But yeah, it was beautiful. I've never felt something like that again.
And what do you make of it now?
Truth be told, I don't know. But it changed something. Even though I cannot say what it is.
Will do.
More fighting. Does this never end?
We'll make short work of them.
There we go.
As you require.
Fair enough. Let's
They
do
will
this.
burn.
In the shadow of the eponymous mountain lies the wasteland referred to as the Foot of Barga-Gor. It is home to the Orcish tribe called the Firewielders, as well as to many unforgiving beasts, from the undead to demons. While most travelers stay away from Barga-Gor for this very reason, the Firewielders cherish their homeland's perils. According to Orcish culture, only through constant conflict and danger can a people stay strong and persevere.
All right, here we are. The Foot of Barga-Gor.
And you still think this is a good idea?
I don't think we have a choice. We need all the allies we can find.
Just give the word.
If it isn't the dreaded Corporal, I was just about to go on my own.
Well, you're in luck. It turns out we do need an ally. Troops, to be precise.
I had a feeling. And yes, I can help you, provided you help me first.
That was the deal. What do you want?
Your help in preventing a war. Let me explain. The leader of our tribe is planning to reignite an old war. The War of the Six Races. In other words, he wants to send this world back into chaos. It's stupid and dangerous. But many of my brethren fail to see that. Krell tells them that our tribe has become weak, and that by invading the Nortander and the Elven Empire, we will teach the world to live in fear of us again, as it should be. What they don't see is that no one would benefit from this war. The Firewielders would be wiped out. That's as sure as the sunrise. And both the humans and the elves would suffer greatly from this. Krell tells them that we'd be honoring the struggle. But we wouldn't. It's the act of a fool.
What is this Krell hoping to gain from it, then?
Well, there's two reasons. First of all, the blood burn.
So the orcs are suffering from it too?
Yes, not as much as you humans do. But there have been outbreaks in some of the tribes. Krell claims that the humans and the elves have manufactured it to wipe us out. Which is why that war would be justified.
That's absurd.
Yes, and he knows it too. But that doesn't stop him from using it to rally the clans behind him nonetheless. And that's the second reason. Krell is a self-obsessed fool. He became High Chieftain with lies and false promises. And people have started to see through that. So now he has no choice but to act.
The struggle?
Ah, right. Sorry. I forgot that I'm talking to a pale skin. The struggle is the core of our culture. At the heart of everything that lives, there's conflict. The wolf hunts the deer runs from the wolf. Without the deer's flesh, the wolf dies. But if there were no wolf, so would the deer. Why? Because without an enemy, it would breed with no constraint. It would procreate until there's no more plants for the deer to eat. Their peace would be their doom. And it's the same with every being. Where there's no conflict, there's stagnation. And stagnation leads to downfall. This is why there has to be the struggle. But we shouldn't discuss this now. All you need to know is that Krell's actions are a threat. Not only to the orcs, but also the other races.
I see. And what do you intend to do?
Stop him. Orc culture is based on two pillars, strength and wisdom. And I will show him the power of the second one. By allying with a human and defeating Krell, the Firewielders will see that even an unlikely alliance can result in strength.
So you want to fight him?
Challenge him. But since he's a coward, I doubt he'll accept. Which is what you're here for. There's a second plan if the first one fails.
And in return, I'll get troops.
Yes. If I stop Krell, I will have the whole Firewielder tribe behind me. and I'll give you enough orcish craftsmen and warriors to support your cause.
Agreed. When are you planning to challenge him?
Now. He has agreed to meet me, and I was just about to leave. Ah, one more thing. What's your name?
Tahar.
Good. Then let us be off Tahar. Krell will meet us northeast from here. Yes?
Sure.
Got it. Sure. That way. All right.
Ha! Sure.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Few people know that there is a reason for Bargagor's lifelessness. As though covered by an arcane veil, the mountain and its surrounding wasteland bear a strong magical signature. While the orcs attribute this to the battle of the renegade gods that was fought here, human and elven scholars consider it to be merely a magical anomaly, superstition or not. The fact is that this stray magic has drawn and continues to draw the attention of a great many dangerous creatures, from the undead to demons.
Blazes. These goblins were mutilated. What creature would do such a thing?
Well, Barga Gor isn't the most hospitable place on Io. So the answer is... Mini. Zarek guides me.
All right, here goes nothing. Let me see. I'll take a look.
Good move.
Sure. Huh.
Fine.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure I like it.
Shit. What in blazes are you doing here? Get out!
They were burned. We're in for a fight.
Shit! What did you do?
You don't seem too happy that we helped you.
How did you guess? I invoked that demon. The Devourer.
You? Why?
To share a shrub of fucking grapes with her. To fight her, damn it! What did you think?
Her?
Yeah. I know that thing doesn't look like your average sailor man's fantasy. But according to the Encyclopedia Sinistra, Devourers only ever possess women. Thus the pronoun.
You summoned a demon to fight it?
Well, for that magic you carry in you, you certainly know shit about demonology. You're not a scholar, I take it?
I was a battle mage. Royal Army.
Figures. To learn how to control a demon race, you first need to fight it. Tame it, as we say. And guess what? That's just what I was trying to do until you popped in and nullified the fucking ritual.
We found a bunch of mutilated goblins further up the cave. Did the Devourer do this?
Yeah. I had some difficulties while casting the ritual, let's put it that way. A demon doesn't always show up where you want to conjure him. Sometimes when they sense something else near the gate, they simply materialize right there. In her case, it was the goblins.
That was foolish. She might have left the cave and gone rampant in the cows.
Well, she didn't, did she? And even if that would have been the case, you orcs know how to handle yourselves in battle.
That's interesting. Can you tell me more about the process of taming a demon?
What am I, your bloody teacher? Go read a book.
So, you just came to this cave in Barga Gor to battle a demon?
Why should I tell you?
You're the brooding type, aren't you?
No. I just don't get why 4 strangers who just fucking interrupted my ritual now think I'm gonna tell them all about my life. Don't you have, I don't know, somewhere to go?
We could use someone with your talents.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm not a mercenary. Now, if you'll excuse me...
So, Tahar, we're done here? Then let's get back to the task at hand.
Wait, Tahar? As in... Shit. You're his son? The betrayer's child?
I am.
Huh. That's unexpected. What in blazes are you doing here? I mean, shouldn't you be up in Greykeep with all your royal friends?
I should, but things happened. You want to hear the story?
Yeah, I think I do. The Bloodburn. Huh. Am I the only one who finds it fucking ironic that the leader of the Purity of Light is trying to save mankind? So far, all they did was torture and kill the living shit out of us.
It's ironic. I agree.
And suspicious if you ask me. But who am I to judge? You know, I've always been somewhat fascinated by your father.
How so?
Well, his methods might have been questionable, but he was damn right about everything he said. He saw this whole shit show coming before anyone else did.
You mean the persecution of mages?
Yeah, it has never been a secret that the people fear what they don't know, is it? It was only a question of time until that fucking hatred would pop open like a blister full of pus. Your father, Isamo Tahar, saw that coming and tried to stop it from happening. He had the guts to do what other people were too afraid to do.
Well, his goal was right, but his methods were wrong.
Yeah, the war is never pretty. Anyway, your story is as intriguing as your father's, I'll give you that. And since I don't exactly have many obligations, I'll take you up on your offer. If it still stands.
Why the sudden change of mind?
I told you. I like the idea of working with Isamo Tahar's living heir. And also I'm curious about what there is to this Bloodburn.
Well then, welcome aboard.
Pathetic. What?
You got it.
Fine. Finally.
If you insist.
Sounds like a plan. Get ready! Huh. Interesting.
Will do.
That way?
Let's burn.
You'll regret this.
Let me see. I'll take a look.
Interesting.
You got it. Sure.